Coming up this week on Sporting Journal Radio.
Really cool ideas into this duck call. It will not stick.
Fishing's incredible, and it's multi-species. You know it's multi-species up there in September. But then you got your grouse, you got your early goose, you got your teal season.
While it impacts me, I understand.
I fish, I hunt, and always will. Broadcasting from the Eau Claire Outdoor Studios. Presented by OnX. Know where you stand with OnX. We're not just a radio show anymore. This is Sporting Journal Radio. That's right. Welcome to the show. I'm Bret Amundson. Thank you for tuning in on the network by demand or watching this on YouTube. That's Dan Amundson over there. Dan, what's up?
Hello to everyone on their way to a decoy spread right now. It's right. Opening day.
I love it. I love it. Maybe you're hunting doves on the dove opener or waiting until the Saturday to shoot teal and Canada geese. Or maybe you're going bow hunting in South Dakota like David Eckhardt. David, how are you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
That doesn't look like a deer stand.
It doesn't
or is it?
For another day.
Or is it? That's right. All right, so we got a lot to get to this week. Ben Brettingen is in Montana as he gets ready for the opening of the hunting season out there. We're going to talk to him and talk about some new things going on with OnX, including creating some more hunting opportunities, some hunting land access. Sam Soholt touched on it last week, too. Ben will tell us more about that. And Cory Loeffler is going to join us. He's going to detail his struggles with trapping gophers and also talk about the new duck call that he's got. And Joe Henry will talk about an event, a pretty important event that they do every year at Lake of the Woods, and talk about how fishing is up there at that big walleye factory in northern Minnesota. But first, Dan, who are the sponsors this week?
Live Target. Match the hatch at livetargetlures.com. Lake of the Woods Tourism. Lake of the Woods is the walleye capital of the world. Plan a trip for this fall or winter at lakeofthewoodsmn.com. Haybell Heights Campground and Resort. Book a trip to Devil's Lake. Learn more at haybellheights.com. Ottertail Lakes Country. Find your inner otter this fall at ottertaillakescountry.com. And Prairie Sportsman. We've got a few new shoots coming up, so we've got new episodes coming this winter. But in the meantime, you can watch reruns anytime at the Prairie Sportsman YouTube channel.
I feel like this is one of the busiest Octobers for Prairie Sportsmen that we've had in a while.
Yeah, I feel like normally we've been kind of almost wrapping things up, and we're really just getting going. So it might be a hunting heavy and fall fishing heavy season this year.
Yeah, well,
so if you like those things, just watch the show.
Two of the shoots in October are fishing or fishing related anyway.
Yeah.
So got a couple of really cool things planned for the new season of Prairie Sportsman. And if you haven't watched the show before and you're on YouTube right now, go to the Prairie Sportsman YouTube channel and you can watch all sorts of episodes that we've done in the past. The show's been going for a long time. Heck yeah, it's a good one. While you're on YouTube, you can also go to Tazen Lake Lodge and check out the Tazen TV YouTube show that we do. And we just filmed some new episodes up in Saskatchewan here recently. And, of course, go to the Fish Hunt Forever YouTube channel as well. Dan just put up a new video there recently. I know we talked about it a little bit last week, but why don't you tell us once again what it is?
That one, well, we went bass fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we have talked about this one, actually. No, because the last time we talked, yeah, right, David? We were bleeding fish last time, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right. So last week was bleeding fish.
Yeah, this week we went bass fishing, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. After all the jokes we make about bass fishing, we went out and caught some bass, but we stumbled into a different species and had a great time catching these other species using forward-facing sonar. Whether you like it or not,
I love it.
We had a blast with it, and it is fun. And shocker, we didn't fish out the lake when we did it either.
Yeah.
There's still fish in that lake.
So we had the MG12 from Cass King, and they sent us that, and they wanted us to try it out, get some pictures, get some videos, and try it out a little bit. So we went on a bass mission, and I'm filming Dan catching these smallies with the MG12 and catching some nice fish, too.
Oh, yeah.
And
don't sound so surprised.
I'm a little surprised. And then all of a sudden you look down at his live scope, and it's like, boom, school of fish. Oh, I wonder what that is. So we did a little investigating, chased the school of fish around, and you can see how it turned out by watching the video right now on the Fish Hunt Forever YouTube channel. Go there, like it, subscribe, share it with your friends if you want. Appreciate it. And we got another brand new video. We've been doing a lot of fishing on there lately. We're going to be transitioning to hunting. We'll still have some fishing content on there. In fact, Dan, you just went and filmed some fishing stuff that you'll probably put out there soon, I suppose.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe you'll have to wait till spring.
All right.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I'm feeling like.
So anyway, I'm going to have Kodiak wrapped up here very soon, the North American Waterfowl Film. In fact, by the time this airs, it may be done and going up on our YouTube channel very soon. So it's a longer form waterfowl hunt in Alaska on Kodiak Island. The Mecca, as a lot of waterfowlers call it.
Oh, the Mecca?
The Mecca. Oh. We didn't film anything in the Mecca while we were on Kodiak.
Well, at least nothing that could be in the show.
That's right.
David, you need to go to the Mecca. It's almost like the prairie chicken.
Right. That's right. Not quite, but maybe close. But we got a really cool film. We learned about waterfowl research on sea ducks and what's being done and what we don't know about sea ducks in Alaska. We talk about how you can plan a trip there, what you need to know, how you need to plan for weather, and just the experience of getting off the island, what we went through to leave Kodiak. Was a bit of because we were up, I think it was like a 15-day trip, and we hunted about 7 days, 6 or 7 days maybe of that. And the rest of it was pretty much all travel.
Yeah. And if we didn't leave the day we did, we would not have made it home for Christmas.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing we didn't. We left on we left well before Christmas.
The 13th, I think, is when we left.
Yeah. And so think about that. If we didn't leave that day, I think we would have gotten out of Alaska, but I think we would have been sitting in the SeaTac airport in Seattle waiting, wishing each other Merry Christmas and probably not being very nice with each other. We'd have been sick of each other by then.
I mean, that's one to think about when you go to these, whether you call it a bucket list destination or some of these just amazing places to hunt or fish. They're usually in remote places, and that's what makes them usually so good. But the travel can be difficult. And sometimes you're gonna get delayed because of weather. So if you plan a trip like that to Kodiak Island or even to Tasman Lake in Saskatchewan, northern Saskatchewan, you have to understand that you might need some travel days on the front or the back end of that trip, and we needed a bunch of them. So that video, watch for it on the Fish Hunt Forever YouTube channel. Of course, hunting season is here. I'm so excited, David. You couldn't even stick around to do the show here. You had to get on the road to do some hunting.
I had to get out of there.
Yeah, it's going to be 1 million degrees this weekend for the hunting opener. How excited are you? Are you going to be in a stand? Are you going to be in a saddle? What are you going to do over there?
I brought a ground blind and a saddle, but I think majority is going to be spot and stock. I'm going to, with
cool.
the temperature and just the lack of knowledge of the area, really. I mean, I've got knowledge of the area, but it's just going to be finding the deer and making a game plan from there. So,
do you have like a box stand that has air conditioning?
I do not. I wish I did.
That's going to be the next thing. David's going to have a permanent stand up with an air conditioner, a wall air conditioner.
Well, remember that walk-in cooler he bought? It just became a deer stand.
Yep. That's going to be
brilliant.
The next step.
Oh man, I remember. So I used to go to North Dakota to bow hunt, and I would go that opening weekend at the end of August, or maybe the first weekend in September. And there was a couple of days over there where it was 80, 90 degrees, just roasting hot. I'm talking 20 years ago or so, just boiling hot out there. And you know, if you do shoot a deer, you got to work fast. But I was more worried that time of year, that warm on the west side of the Missouri River, there's still rattlesnakes out there that time of year.
Gross.
And that's what I didn't like very much about that warmer weather. Yeah, I never saw one, but I definitely watched where I stepped. Then later in the year when it got cooler, I didn't worry quite as much. But you're on the east side of the river, aren't you? Or are you on the west side?
Yeah, just barely on the east side.
Okay, you might have a random prairie rattler, but probably don't have to worry too much about snakes over there. Well, good luck. While you're doing that, we're going to be shooting doves in 1 million degree heat. So I think we'll probably hunt in the morning, throw out a spinner.
Yeah, right out there.
Yeah, not too far away.
I was pretty conflicted about missing early goose, teal, dove to come out here and go deer hunting.
With a chance at a
with the
velvet muley?
temperatures,
Are you
with
insane?
the temperatures, though, I mean, the doves are going to stick around, and
Yeah,
The velvet's
super
not.
hurt, so.
Well, that's just it. Like the early teal season, I don't really care about that. If I have the chance to shoot one, I'll shoot them, of course. The early Canada goose season in Minnesota, if we get on a burner, I'd be excited about it, but I'm really not, we don't have a ton of geese around right now. But the doves this year particularly, David, there's no cooler weather pushing some of them south. I'm sure time of day shortening will move some of those birds anyway. But we have so many doves around, David. I don't think I've ever seen this many doves around an opener before.
I've seen so many. There's been so many doves around. So I'll catch them next week.
Yeah, they'll still be here.
There's not going to be a cold front that blows them out down south. So
for sure,
they'll be here.
All right. Well, we should. How are we doing on time, Dan?
We probably got to take a commercial break.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We've got Joe Henry coming up. We're going to talk Lake of the Woods and what fall is like up there, and what he just got done to a really cool event. That's just an important event up at Lake of the Woods. We'll tell you what that is when we come back. And then we got a fun interview with Cory Loeffler and Ben Brettingen coming up on Sporting Journal Radio. Kodiak, a North American waterfowl film, is coming to the Fish Hunt Forever YouTube channel.
I've been a sea duck hunter for about 30 seconds, and I've already got one that's probably going to go on the wall, so this is the coolest duck hunt I've ever been on.
Presented by Boss Shot Shells, with support from Sitka and Beretta, and additional support from Eau Claire Outdoors, High Prairie Animal Arts, and the Association of Great Lakes Outdoor Writers. Watch Kodiak on the Fish Hunt Forever YouTube channel. Devil's Lake is legendary, and this summer has been legendary for walleyes. Don't miss out. Call Haybale Heights Campground and Resort today to book one of their modern cabins on East Bay. The cabins are furnished with a full bathroom, kitchen, and all the amenities like high-speed internet, and are clean following CDC guidelines. Staying at Haybale Heights gives you full access to a private boat launch, fish cleaning station, and beach area. Learn more at haybaleheights.com. That's haybaleheights.com. Plan your trip to legendary Devil's Lake today. Live Target, the leader in Match the Hatch, is back with new lures that also match the action. Introducing the Live Craw. The Live Craw is irresistible to bass, walleye, and other freshwater species. FTech's winner, the Ultimate Frog, looks and acts just like a swimming frog. With an exposed ultra-point mustad hook and replaceable legs, the Ultimate Frog has 2 styles, 2 sizes, and 8 colors. And iCast and FTech's winner, the Live Shrimp, mimics a fleeing shrimp for saltwater anglers. Coming soon from Live Target. Now we're going to go up to Lake of the Woods to check in with Joe Henry from Lake of the Woods Tourism. Joe, I know the discussion, I'm sure, has started now that September is here. Are the shiners running in the river yet?
Yeah. They're not running yet. But I can tell you this, that there's fish in the river. I was out on the Rainy River just a couple of weeks ago already, and we caught some nice walleyes, some good saugers. We caught smallies, pike, big crappies on the river. So, there are some fish in the river already. Now, I don't know if those fish moved up in the river or if they've been there all summer. But nonetheless, there's fish there already. And then, of course, what happens is we get that annual, fall run of emerald shiners coming up the river. And wherever the shiners are, the walleyes are going to be. So those walleyes will follow it up, and it's good to go. I know that a lot of people, so September is usually when this whole thing starts. And usually what happens is, somebody goes out and starts fishing the river just for whatever reason. Let's fish the river for a day. And they whack the heck out of the walleyes. And then all of a sudden somebody says, I had shiners under my light last night. And, by the time you hear about it, it's been going on for a week or two already. And
right.
That normally happens just into September when things start happening. I can tell you the trees are already starting to change up there just a little bit, not a lot. But, you'll see a bunch of big, beautiful green trees up there. And all of a sudden, boom, you got yellow and orange, And the other thing I'll tell you, too, is that if there's anybody interested, there's still some spots open for that Chili Bowl walleye tournament in October out of Border View Lodge. I think they take 75 boats, and I think they're over 50 already. That's a really neat tournament. It's just the Rainy River, so, you don't need a big boat for that. And, it's just really a neat deal. So if you and a partner want to jump into something like that, it's a fun fall tournament. It's cool, too. It's only... I think it's only a few $100s for entry fee, $150 per angler, and that includes a prime rib dinner. So it's a good one.
Joe, we're going to be we'll be together actually up at the Aglow conference up there, not too far from Lake of the Woods, near the end of September. Dan, we're going to have your boat up there for the Aglow conference. Maybe we just
Well, I know we have an obligation right after that, but if you want to go do that, I'll go to Lake of the Woods and film something.
That's gonna work. We're gonna film an elk hunt, and then after the elk hunt, I mean, we'll have all our hunting and fishing gear.
Twist my arm.
Maybe we'll have to spend some time up at Lake of the Woods.
There's probably a bunch of ducks up there still.
Yeah,
I saw there's some layout boat hunting dates available.
I saw Andy post about that actually.
So
How about grouse?
and grouse.
Yeah, David.
Yeah, man. And you guys know. Plus, you the fact that you guys hunt. I mean, yeah, the fishing's incredible, and it's multi-species. You know, it's multi-species up there in September. But then you got your grouse, you got your early goose, you got your teal season. I mean, there's a lot to do up there. The kicker, too, about that grouse hunting, for people that don't know, not only do we have a lot of darn grouse up there, we have very few people. So you got hundreds of thousands of acres of public land. I can tell you, being from central Minnesota, you got public hunting, but boy, I'll tell you, you better be one of the first ones on that public hunting. Otherwise, that game gets pushed out of there pretty darn quick because so many people are trampling through it. You get up north, you got hundreds of thousands of acres of public land. There's dedicated walking trails for grouse hunters. There's dirt roads you can drive. I mean, it's a really neat deal.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do that this year, I think.
Done.
And Dan, you were just up there too, and I know with this, and I don't know what it's like up north, but where we're at, it's been so dry. And David, maybe you can speak to this a little bit. I think some of the, whether it's the crops or the trees or whatever, maybe they're a little stressed by how dry it is. The leaves are probably going to drop early, and that's one thing with grouse hunting is for as little rough grouse hunting that I do, because I like to see the birds when they flush, and a lot of times rough grouse, you don't see them very often. But when the leaves come off, that's the best time to go. And this year, maybe the leaves will come off a little bit earlier up there this year, Joe.
Well, that's true, and it's very true. You're right about that. I mean, obviously, it's easier when the leaves drop, but people still go out opening day, and there's some leaves on the trees, and they still find birds. And the good thing
if there's
is
leaves on the trees, we'll just go fishing, Dan.
We'll do both. Everything. I mean, you go walk for a little bit in the morning, and you get tired of walking, you go jump in the boat, and it sounds like a great day.
I can remember one of the times when I first became tourism director. I'd always really focused on fishing, but after I became tourism director, I went hunting in Beltrami Island State Forest, which is just to kind of the southwest of Baudette. And I'll tell you what, man. I'm driving down the road, and there's 6 rough grouse running off the dirt road into the ditch. I'm like, holy smokes. I mean, when do you see 6 rough grouse running off the road into the ditch? I guess I have more grouse that one day, I think, than I've seen in the last couple of years. You know what I mean?
Well, and you got Sharpies and spruce grouse up there too, so a lot of opportunities to do some bird hunting. And I'm excited to fish, though. I will definitely hunt, because we're gonna be on the road for like 3 weeks. We're gonna be going to Saskatchewan to do some stuff. Then we'll be up at the Aglow conference, and then we got to film this elk hunt. And then I think we definitely tack on a Lake of the Woods stop, Dan.
Right now, book it. Done.
All right. Well, we'll see what there goes.
Reach out. We'll figure something out there. I'll tell you something. The fishing. I mean, we've had that Aglow conference in September, as you guys know. And remember how when a lot of the outdoor media came up to Lake of the Woods, they had their option to go walleye fishing. Some did that, but we also had the option to jump on a charter boat and go sturgeon fishing. And that was like the most popular because nobody has ever hardly done it. And oh man, did we catch sturgeon! We got a ton of sturgeon right in front of the resorts too.
Oh yeah, and there's so much fun to catch, and it's relatively easy. Gear is not that expensive, but anytime you can catch a fish that's 50, 60 pounds or bigger, you're gonna have a good time with that. So, all right, Joe, we'll talk more about planning a trip up there this fall for Lake of the Woods and Rainy River. But let's talk about what you just did up there, because you just had another annual veterans event that you've been doing for quite a while up there.
We sure did, yeah. So we do the Pay It Forward. Our event is called Pay It Forward, and it was the 10th annual Pay It Forward Veterans event. The purpose of this event is to honor, recognize, and celebrate all veterans. So in a nutshell, what we do is we bring up about, in this case, we had 88 people in this event, and every veteran that comes up, the only thing they have to pay, they got to get themselves up there, and they got to pay for their own drinks. Other than that, the food, the lodging, and the fishing are all taken care of. 3-night, 2-day fishing trip. We use charter boats, no little boats. We use all charter boats to kind of keep it that Lake of the Woods theme, that we have with charter boats. And What an event, man. I mean, every year we talk about the magic of this event, and we certainly create a great atmosphere for it. But the magic is veterans spending time with other veterans. The magic is having excellent speakers that bring out some different topics that maybe sometimes are tough to talk about with veterans. But at the same time, they encourage veterans to get the help they need, or maybe just talk to other veterans about things they're dealing with. Sometimes the old saying is either you need the meeting or the meeting needs you. And even people that have gone there that are doing relatively well, they're helpful because they're connecting with veterans who are maybe struggling. And just a great event, just the camaraderie. I had a chance. So Midwest Outdoors shot a TV show one of the days on our charter boat, and we happened to have Tom Cremeen, who is with Elks Veteran Services in Minnesota. In fact, he just won a national award for Elks as the National Volunteer of the Year. So he was kind of excited. He's going to be featured on the Elks float in Pasadena, California for New Year's Day, the Rose Bowl parade. And so that's kind of a neat honor. And then the other two gentlemen we had were World War II veterans. They're brothers, 98 and 95 years old. And boy, sharp as a tack, both of them were. The stories they had about World War II and just life, they talked about, one of them said, yeah, I got kids, my kids are in their 70s and my grandchildren are in their 50s, imagine.
Wow.
But just great. All three of them were great guys. And, you spend a couple of days on the boat like that. What a gift. And, I asked them, we did a video I'm going to be putting on Facebook here. And we did a video and I just said, what'd you guys think? And they said, honestly, Joe, one of the best couple of days we've ever had in our life. 98 years, and I can say it's a couple of the best days I've ever had in my life. And very, very humbling to hear that, and just wonderful guys, just fantastic. But a lot of good happens at an event like that. And
that's amazing. Yeah, those events are so important, and it's such a great opportunity to get veterans around with other veterans and help them have somebody to talk to that can relate to some of the experiences that they've had. So,
Brett, we have diversity, right? So we had men and women, we had young veterans, older veterans. Certainly, we honor our Vietnam vets. I mean, they didn't get the welcome they deserved when they came home, so we certainly welcome them. But we have all different kind of vets from all different kind of situations. I would just say if somebody wants to. If you are a veteran or of a veteran who might be interested in this event next year, next year it's August 26th to the 29th, I believe, it's a week before Labor Day. And you can certainly fill an application out. Our website for that is, payitforward.low.org. Otherwise, certainly get a hold of me, Joe Henry at Lake of the Woods Tourism, and I can set you up with an application.
Very good. All right, Joe. Well, if people want to get a fall trip or maybe start thinking about ice fishing at Lake of the Woods or maybe thinking about cast and blast up there, what should they do for more info?
Check out our website. Everything's on there, and that is lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
Northern Minnesota's Walleye Factory is a year-round world-class fishing destination. The perfect getaway this summer is just a short drive to Lake of the Woods. Fish Big Traverse Bay, the Rainy River, or visit the unique Northwest Angle. To catch big fish, you have to go where the big fish are. Plan your trip to Lake of the Woods at lakeofthewoodsmn.com. That's lakeofthewoodsmn.com. 852 million acres of public land, 147 million private properties, all in the palm of your hand. The #1 hunting GPS app just got better. With hundreds of custom map layers, 3D and topographic maps, you can easily scout on the road or at home before you go. And now you can get important weather details, CWD detection, and even know what crops have been planted where. Get the most trusted hunting GPS app ever made. OnX. Know where you stand with OnX.
Did you know there are more than 1,000 lakes in Otter Tail County?
Yep, and I'm gonna fish as many as I can. I'm an outdoorsy otter. Nothing beats a full day of fishing for me. The lakes of Otter Tail County give me plenty of options to lower my boat and snag the perfect catch. Not an outdoorsy otter? No problem. Otter Tail County has something for everyone. You just need to find your inner otter.
To find your inner otter, go to ottertaillakescountry.com. Hi, this is Sporting Journal Radio. I'm Bret Amundson. Thanks for tuning in on the network by demand, sportingjournalradio.com, or maybe you're watching this on YouTube, along with Dan Amundson and David Eckhardt checking in from South Dakota. David, how are you doing?
Doing good.
All right. And then we also have Ben Brettingen and Cory Loeffler joining us, so it should be a good show. All in different places right now. Ben, do you want to talk about where you're at?
Sure. I'm out in Montana in my lovely digs here. Beautiful place. Accommodations are a little rough, but the birds are here, so that's what we come for.
That's all that matters. You're on a bird hunting trip. You're looking for the prairie chicken? Oh no, Sharpies.
Sharpies for now. We're not in South Dakota.
Inside jokes on radio shows are great.
I know. Everyone's like, what are they talking about? That's not funny. These guys are idiots.
If you know, you know.
Right. Cory, I hear all the harlots are in Minnesota right now, though.
They're in the call shop right now. Yes, I'm just hanging out with, hundreds of harlots. So.
Well, that's a new duck call. We want to talk about that. We'll talk about bird hunting. And Ben, I want you to talk about the PATH program in South Dakota. Sam Sohol talked about it a little bit here on the show, but we'll have you talk about your involvement with that too, because that is pretty outstanding, I think. Congratulations. Nice work on that whole process, Ben.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It was kind of something that came together pretty fast, and it's going to be really, really exciting for all the people that come out and hunt in South Dakota.
So I just want to back up a second. I kept hearing crickets, and I thought Dan was just playing a cricket sound effect.
Try to move along the show.
Yeah.
No,
like
it's me.
Somebody said a bad joke or something, and it was crickets. No. David's got the crickets.
It's just the background noise here.
It's just David's background sound effect. Like everywhere he goes, he just has cricket noises everywhere he goes. All right. So anyway, let's Ben. The PATH This PATH. What does PATH stand for again? And how did that all start?
Yeah, so the PATH program it's called Public Access to Habitat, and it's an initiative that Pheasants Forever kind of brought to the table. It's really modeled after the community-based habitat program, i.e. like what Aberdeen Pheasant Coalition has done. And they were just, Pheasants Forever was really just trying to provide the framework to essentially scale this model across South Dakota. And then, fingers crossed, hopefully any other states that are interested in it.
Essentially, it adds some money to existing programs like the walk-in access program out there, correct?
Yep, exactly. So all this land is private access, open to hunting, similar like in South Dakota, it's walk-in plots in North Dakota, Weha in Kansas, block management in Montana, all those programs. And what it's doing is we're really, it's trying to get the community involved in the program, right? Because the way it works is the more public land you have in your area, or the more open access to hunting, the idea is that you get more economic impact for your communities. And a lot of these small towns in South Dakota, right, they thrive on this. So by getting land, or by getting landowners to enroll, getting businesses, getting other people in the community to help fund this, that's just bringing in more dollars to your area.
So how did OnX get involved then?
Yeah, so actually, South Dakota Tourism reached out to us, and they wanted to collaborate on a project, and it's like, well, OnX is all about access, and so it's like, well, let's go in together and create some cool access project, and really a lot of what Pheasants Forever does is build a wildlife areas across the country, really. But I talked to them, and they said, like, hey, we haven't launched this yet. We haven't talked about this yet, but it's called the PATH program. And I had been pushing on Pheasants Forever, like, hey, I'd love to be involved in help scaling what Aberdeen has done with the Pheasant Coalition. And we talked it over internally, and I think they needed $250,000 to kick the program off before they even started enrolling landowners. So us, in conjunction with South Dakota tourism, like let's just do this whole thing. And essentially that money was able to open up 10,000 acres of hunting land in South Dakota for 10 years, at a minimum of 10 years. So 10,000 acres in 10 years, so we're like, this is an absolute no-brainer. Like, why wouldn't you do this?
Yeah. So do you after 10 years, what do you think is going to happen? Does it need to be, something need to be re-upped, or what happens after 10 years?
So a lot of this ground is also enrolled into a, habitat program like CRP, for example. So what my hope is after 10 years is we have provided a lot of this money up front, but then we want to establish this in the community and help these small towns, like help them see like, wow, this brings a lot of economic impact to our area. And then this is to get it off the ground. But the idea is that a lot of these communities band together and help support these habitat projects.
How important do you guys think, and anybody can weigh in on this one, but Ben, we'll start with you. How important do you think it is to have more private land open to hunters like that? You hear about some counties in different states trying to have no net gain, or, maybe areas struggling to get more public land, and then more private land getting locked up. How important is this type of approach going to be moving forward, in your opinion?
Well, a couple angles to look at it. So from a hunter's perspective, first off, this is great because while you look at your WPAs, WMAs, those kind of things, that they're managed by the agencies, right? So by adding in these walk-in areas, which is privately managed, it just opens up a whole new variety of habitat, whether it's crops, different management, different grazing styles. So it's that diversity of habitat that it's introduced. And then in terms of like the larger scale, like you said, with no net gain, this is a way to create a lot of acres of public hunting without the giant expense, right? Like if you're going to buy 10,000 acres in some prime hunting areas, like I don't even know how much that's going to cost, but it's hundreds of millions of dollars. Where this, granted, it is not protected forever, but it alleviates a lot of the hunter pressure, as well as it creates a lot of opportunity for people looking to go out and hunt.
You've seen this. South Dakota's kind of taking the lead on this. You think this will expand into other states?
That's really my hope. I've seen it. Obviously, a lot of people have seen it be successful in Aberdeen. Mitchell is kind of taking the ball and they're really running with it. I'm really hoping to see it, and I believe in the, I guess not necessarily the dollars and cents, but the logic of it, and it's been proven. So I would love to see other state agencies come to the table and say, hey, we want to help scale this for not only hunters, but really for the small towns that are in the state that, probably honestly are struggling.
What do you think about the trend we're seeing with more restrictions on non-residents in some of these states too? Like you're in Montana. You've obviously hunted Montana before. There's been some changes there, I think primarily for the big game hunters. Has there been any changes for like non-resident access in Montana for bird hunters?
Yeah. So like this year, for example, you can't, I think it's non-residents can't hunt non-residents can't hunt over 30 days in the state.
Yeah. That's right.
So that's something that's changed. But, while it impacts me, I understand. This is, if you're a resident of the state, we come out here, we get to enjoy it. We obviously are paying a license fee to be able to come and hunt it. And two trains of thought. It's like, am I okay with paying more for a license? Yeah, but there's implications there. It's like, well, that's turning into pay to play type deal. But if that's the cost where I can't hunt 30 days, which not many people hunt 30 days, but if you take like a North Dakota model where you get 2 5-day periods, if that's the price I have to pay for quality hunting, then
right.
I'm fine with that, because I can promise you, come this afternoon, we're on the eve of opener here. there's going to be a lot of people out here. And at some point, you're going to have some rough winters compounded with hunting, and it's going to take its toll. So I honestly think there probably should be some changes. So,
right. And, it's on paper, sometimes it seems like, oh, dang it, I wanted to go over there, and now my opportunities are going to be limited. But if in the long run, if it's going to increase more positive hunting experiences, that's just going to be better for all of us. And Cory, you're somebody that travels around a lot too, and does a lot of traveling. Have you seen anything that's made you change any of your travel plans?
Well, you have to apply to hunt Manitoba waterfowl.
Right.
So I didn't apply, so I'm not going to hunt there. Let's see. Other than that, I don't really think so. I try to just stay away from the states that you have to apply for small game or waterfowl licenses, just because I don't know what the migration is going to look like and how busy I'm going to be, how close I need to stay to the shop. So I like to hunt states that I can just, on a whim, head there, license, over the counter, done deal. So that's what I usually focus on.
Well, I've told this story on the show before, but I remember one year a group of us here in Minnesota got South Dakota waterfowl tags. We applied for them, and they were just 3-day licenses. And so we had our dates picked, and we went over there, and it was the best hunting in Minnesota the 3 days we were in South Dakota. And all our buddies were shooting limits back home while we were over there, struggling to get on land. Like we were hardly shooting any birds because we couldn't get on anything, and there was hunters everywhere. So I get the being flexible enough to, and we're fortunate to have a job where we can maybe pick up and go if we need to here and there. But I don't know. I've been on the fence, and I didn't mean to turn this into a non-resident restriction discussion on here, but I figure you guys are people that take trips like I do, and having programs, more private land opening up, I think that's just going to be, to me, and maybe this is a discussion more about access when it comes to the future of hunting. Ben, maybe I'll pop back to you on this. I think access is going to be the most important aspect to the future of hunting in the United States.
Oh, 100%. No doubt about it. But you think about it, if you take 100,000 people and cram them onto, 5 million acres. I mean, granted, that's small in the grand scheme of things, but if you all of a sudden open it up to 20 million acres, like that's a third of the pressure. So as well as getting people out, right? The more access to quality public land you have, the better your odds are going to be, and the more likely you are to participate. So OnX, they just released a new report called Private Land Public Access. And that report is essentially detailing the different programs, how many acres are enrolled, a bunch of statistics, funding mechanisms, as well as some of the problems and what the future looks like for walk-in lands or voluntary public access in the United States. So if you get the chance to look at it, it is very, very interesting. Yeah, so 30 million acres of walk-in access in the U.S. through various programs across 27 states.
What do you guys think about this? Is similar to that. It's maybe not exactly that because it's not really open to public, but what do you guys think about this land trust that's in North Dakota? And I think they're in a bunch of other states too, where essentially they're creating this Airbnb model of hunting land. Have you guys had a chance to look into that or form an opinion on it yet or not?
Yes, I saw a number of these from kind of the onset of this model. And, honestly, I don't look at it a whole lot differently than leasing public land or leasing private land. Excuse me. You're paying to play, right? So if you can afford it, great. If the people that can't, granted, it is more affordable than leasing, but for me, it's really that the hang up is still paying to hunt.
Right.
So, I don't know exactly how I feel about it, but something, I don't know, because again, I hunt private land, I hunt public land, but exploiting land, I don't have a great way to articulate it.
It's hard because, and I'm on the fence about it right now too, and I've been having discussions with a number of different people about this particular topic because obviously it's a big one right now. It's happening. You see it on Instagram. You see ads for it all the time now. And I looked at one post. Actually, I saw it on Facebook, and I looked at one post, and it was in North Dakota. And all the usual guys that I'd expect to comment and be against it were commenting and being against it in North Dakota. And maybe that state is a little unique that it's been so wide open for hunters, and they've protected the local guys so much by restricting non-residents to just a certain amount of days. But when you had non-posted land that you could hunt on, obviously that changed with the e-posting, and now it seems like more and more people now are going to have the ability not just to e-post their land, but to close it and get paid for people to hunt it. And I know some longtime hunters in North Dakota that their heads are probably exploding because of this, because they didn't want to see any money get involved in the hunting. They didn't want to see hunting get commercialized as much as it is. You know, they don't even like hunting TV shows, some of those guys. So this type of model coming to North Dakota, I'm sure some people out there are just flipping out right now. I have a hard time telling a landowner what they can do on their property. You know, if you look at it from that side, I can't blame the guy for trying to make a buck on it, but you might have a huge amount of land that used to be open and free for a guy to go hunt on if they could, or if they had permission, or if it wasn't posted, and that opportunity might go away. So it all comes back to that access question, and I'm curious to see what's going to happen, if this is going to be successful, or if it'll have, you know, kind of maybe peak early and then kind of slow down. Because you think about it, unless it's a huge ranch, and maybe they are in North Dakota. I guess I haven't looked at any of the land sizes for some of these, but if you think about it, if they're pheasant hunting or deer hunting,
we found that bird watching property last week.
Right.
Can't forget about that in Gordon, Nebraska.
You could pay to go do some bird watching, and honestly, a non-consumptive opportunity like that. I mean, that's kind of brilliant. Really, have a bed and breakfast or a Airbnb or whatever the case may be, a place to stay and places to go with. Hey, you can rent some binoculars for $25.
Right.
Heck, go for it. But you think about it, if guys are pheasant hunting on a ranch that's, not putting birds out, you're going to push those birds or those deer off pretty quick. So unless it's a place where you're hunting, waterfowl migration and there's new birds showing up, I have a hard time thinking it's going to be real sustainable, I guess, too. So.
Well, the other issue with that too is this is detailed in the report, but the number one loss of that voluntary public access walk-in areas is people coming out and leasing that land. So
walk-in areas.
Yep, that's the number. I think that's you'll have to fact check that, but I'm pretty sure it's one of the highest reasons that it comes out is they are able to hunt this land, right? Then they go approach the landowner and say, well, I'll pay you more to lease it, right? And I can't blame the farmer again, right? They're trying to put food on the table. So I can see the same thing happening through this Airbnb of hunting land model.
Well, I guess we'll just have to see how things play out. Now, Ben, you're over there with George again, aren't you? George Lyle?
No.
Oh, you're not with George on this trip?
Nope. George, he couldn't make it this trip. His priorities have shifted, maybe.
Uh-oh.
So I'll leave it at that. You can have George on and talk about it. It's still sore. I'm sitting out here. I'm not by myself, but it's a little different with old cowboy George Lyle.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck on that trip. I'm jealous. I know it's the dove opener here, and there are piles and piles of doves around, and no cold weather at this point to push them south for a change. Normally they're here for about a week, and then they take off right around the beginning of the season. But I think they're going to be here unless they go north.
They might go north.
They might go north. It's supposed to be like 100 degrees on Sunday.
I'm going north.
Yeah.
Getting out of there.
It's just ridiculous. Cory, I did see something today, actually. When we're recording this on Wednesday, I saw somebody post they're way up. I don't even remember where they were, but way up in northern Canada. And they said it was the earliest they'd start to see some of those geese that were north of them starting to push down.
Wow.
And he
Already?
he said it was like 3 days solid of migrating birds, and he'd lived there his whole life, and that was the earliest he'd seen them push. So I don't know, maybe we'll have some early migrating waterfowl until they get to the heat line, maybe.
Thermic line?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. What kind of season do you think we're going to have, Cory?
Well, it's starting out pretty hot this weekend. It's going to be fairly
hot,
buggy, miserable, hot out there.
Gross.
But guys, going to have to really take care of those birds if you want to protect them and preserve them for good table fare. Doves and teal and doves and ducks and geese and Ben pheasants out, or
Sharpies.
Prairie chickens. Out in Montana.
Make sure you keep those prairie chickens warm.
Corey, I saw you were doing some show prep a few minutes ago, doing some research on our topics.
Yeah, just had to look up some facts about prairie chickens there in South Dakota. So, on the access stuff, one thing that we've been doing the last 4 or 5 years now has been doing more e-scouting, using OnX to get find spots on public land that are way further into public than you can go on just like a normal day trip or something like that. And then we've been bringing camping gear and then making a extended stay vacation, hunting vacation out of it. So bringing wall tent in, some type of something to sleep on, and pack a cooler full of stuff and meals over the fire, and then setting up kind of a spike camp, and then going further into public. You can't camp on private land or public land. So in Minnesota, so we've been camping on private, and then which is pretty easy to get access and permission to do that, but camp there and then use that as a spike camp and go hunting from that spot, get deeper into the bush. So I know there's not tons of places like that offer that opportunity, that have state land tracts or public land tracts that are that big, but it's been a pretty fun adventure here the last few years doing that.
Almost taking like a big game approach to waterfowl hunting, in the sense that you're going to go camp out and spend a few days in a tent out there. I've seen some. There's been some pictures from some of those adventures, Cory. I've seen. It looks like you've been having a good time doing that.
Yeah, a couple. Yeah, we make do. Here's one. Oh, there you go.
There you go. Nice.
Oh, Roo.
Oh, Roo. Boat rides with Roo.
So this probably doesn't apply as much for waterfowl hunting, and maybe it does, but when you're planning out those things on OnX, are you using that? Ben, maybe you can help me out with what it's actually called, but where you can actually see the angle, like the how steep.
View.
Say that again.
Like the 3D view.
Well, yeah, where you can actually see how steep the pitch of if you're going up a mountain or something. Yeah, you can.
Terrain X is what it's called. Yeah, and that, that's a lot of that is more western big game.
Right.
Just to see where you can go up, traverse mountains. The one thing though for waterfowl guys, I don't know if you guys have checked it out, but the recent imagery where you get satellite imagery, it's lower resolution, but it's shot every 2-3 weeks. So
oh yeah, that's awesome. That's honestly, I hear that question all the time when we're scouting, like, gosh, how recent was this image taken? So to have that option is great, especially when it's wet and dry and when things are changing all the time or crops are coming out.
Yeah, that would have helped us. Oh, sorry, Dan, go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead. You're probably more interesting than what I was going to say.
Well, that current or recent imaging would have helped us out. 2 years ago, on our little duck camp excursion because luckily, unfortunately for the deer and for JJ's pickup, but luckily JJ he had to run into town to get a license, just going from my house into town, hit a deer, ran out, couldn't do anything. He was pulling the boat. And he called me and he said, I just hit a deer. And I said, well, pick it up. I mean, yeah, I'll call the police right now. They'll be out there, give you a permit for it, roadkill. And we got the deer. It was definitely a little bit of a crime scene, but it was quick kill, and we salvaged all of the deer. So he threw that in the back of the boat, and we brought the deer with us into our little duck camp, had that, and we went from duck camp, our spike camp, into the bush, deep into the public land, and the sloughs back in there were bone dry. I mean, where there was probably 3 or 4 feet of water, there was cracks in the ground, and you could see down 2 feet into the peat. So there was no water in there. We didn't shoot any ducks back in there. All we ate the whole time on the whole trip was just that roadkill venison.
Well, that's not bad.
If we would have had the recent imaging, we could have found out before we went that our sloughs were bone dry, and would have saved us the headache of traveling all the way in there only to walk a half a mile off the river and find out there's no water. That's why we weren't seeing any birds. So anyway.
Do you think with a new duck call, you could have called ducks into that anyway?
Oh man,
see what I did?
We would have had to get there a couple weeks early, just throwing highballs up to Canada, trying to get their attention.
Tell me about the new duck call.
Gosh, well, hey, happen to have one right here. Look at that. This is the new Harlot.
Very nice. Very nice.
Sassy little girl right there. It happens to be number 136. But we just released this. Oh, man, it's been a few weeks ago now. We had some limited releases in batches on our website, and then we have had them down in Little Rock, Arkansas at the Delta Show, at Squad Fest, 2 weekends at Game Fair. And now another drop of these will be hitting the website very soon. We're just trying to build them as fast as we can. But no, we've put a bunch of really cool innovation, really cool ideas into this duck call. It will not stick at all. So that's a huge problem that most people have, is moisture locking a duck call, and like right when you need it the most, it'll just lock up on you and you can't get any sound out of the end of it. So it won't stick. It's got moisture control grooves in the tone board. I can show you, probably see a black insert a little better. So what you're looking at there is our crazy reed design. You've got a couple holes. You can see there a couple holes drilled through the tone board right there that allow the spit to drain out, and then we'll see if we can turn it a little bit. We've got those moisture control grooves on either side of the tone channel. They're going to channel the spit out and down to the bottom side of the insert so it doesn't load up in between the reed and the tone board. And we've got this fancy new wedge system, the stay tuned wedge system, so it won't go flat. Traditionally, duck calls that are built with a cork stopper in there will go flat or lose their tone after a couple weeks because your saliva in your mouth breaks that cork down, because that cork is organic, and it just loses its elasticity and loses its capability to provide enough friction or reed lift in there. And duck call kind of just goes flat. It kind of sounds like junk. So we fixed that. We designed this fancy little stay tuned wedge system right there. And that is all 3D printed, and it doesn't look like, you can't see the detail in it, but there's kind of a lot going on inside that little wedge right there. So that wedge provides awesome reed lift for us, and this thing will sound the exact same today as it will 500 days from now. So that's that. And then as far as the sound of it, it is extremely versatile duck call that you can put a little tiny bit of air into and get real soft and finesse those super squeaky feed chatters on the bottom end. And then you can put a pile of air into it and really open it up on the top side too if you need to reach out and touch them, or hail call them from Canada if you're hunting the dry slough.
Can you turn it around and sound like a goose?
No, you have to tune in to our April Fool's Day presentation where we might have something just like that.
That's funny. All right, where can people can get those on your website?
Not right now, but soon. Yeah,
you're just out of them.
Very limited release. So, I just have to keep checking back on the website. But we do plan to drop another bunch of them here shortly, and there's gonna be some pretty cool things in the mix of these. I have.
Were those wood?
Those were wood. Yeah.
Oh, look at that!
Wow.
With acrylic sleeved mouthpieces and acrylic inserts.
That's
micarta
wild.
With a purple acrylic on the end of it there. There's some really wild acrylic, some custom stuff. So yeah, really neat batch of calls here that I've been working on for a while. Excited to get those on the website and into mailboxes near you.
That 3D printing has kind of changed things quite a bit, hasn't it? Do you have a 3D printer? Are you doing that?
I don't. No, not me personally. Our good friend Art Diaz with All Clear Audio, he helps me out with a lot of prototyping stuff. So yeah, when we're designing new sets of guts for like a spec call, sandhill crane calls, snow goose calls, the wedges for these, some new honker calls and new honker guts, all that stuff gets 3D printed. So I got a lot of things going on like in between these headphones right here, lots of ideas jumbling around, bouncing back and forth. So when I have all those ideas, I try to convey them or try to write them down and get those ideas onto a 3D drawing of what it is I'm thinking about or trying to design. And then we take that 3D drawing, print that out, then I try it, and then we make a whole bunch of changes and reiterations and keep on trying stuff out and prototyping it until it's perfect. And then we might continue to 3D print it, or we probably will go get a injection mold built out of steel, and then we'll have those parts injection molded. The calls themselves are not injection molded. They are all machined on a CNC lathe. So extremely high tolerances, very, very finely machined, fine-tuned hunting apparatuses. So they're very, very precise. So sound is utmost quality around here.
I know they call you the wizard, but maybe mad scientist is going to be a more appropriate title. And I've seen you working on that lathe a little bit, and I mean that looks like a pretty complicated machine that you've had to figure out.
Yeah, it hasn't been a lot of fun, but if you like staring at ones and zeros and X's and Z's, then it's pretty exciting. But it was actually a giant pain in the butt learning how to use that thing, and School of Hard Knocks got me through it. Just programming manuals that are this thick. Oof. And some friends came over, wrote some programs for me. My cousin did, and then I was able to copy and paste my way through that and know just enough to be really dangerous. And I haven't actually crashed it all that many times, so which is good.
Hey Ben,
Pretty sweet rig though.
What's that, David?
That CNC lathe is pretty awesome. I saw it this spring up at Cory's, and he's just like, "Oh, you just beep boop boop boop, push a bunch of buttons, and it starts cutting stuff." I'm like, "Cool." I don't really know. I don't understand any of this, but it works.
Wait, did we find something David doesn't understand and can't do?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm surprised you haven't built your own yet, David, after seeing one.
I have not built my own.
Yet,
yeah.
Jeez. HD lathe coming to Western Minnesota.
David Eckhardt Enterprises. Wow. Ben, so what do you think's been tougher for Cory, figuring that machine out or trapping a gopher?
Well, I've been following.
Oh man,
your gopher trap. And
Bye, Cory.
So if I was gonna go and say I need to find a killer to kill something, catch something, it would be Cory Loeffler. But these gophers have his number. My gosh, I have never seen a struggle fest so bad. And then, like, every time I'm sitting on Instagram, I'm like, okay, I want to see a dead gopher.
You're right.
Like maybe.
Oh!
Did he get him?
Whoa!
Oh, we got him!
Oh, no! Whoa!
Skyuma.
Nice.
Thank you. It only took you.
Skin him out. You can make a mitten.
$3.50 right there.
$3.50. Wow. That's the one you've been going after in the garden the whole time?
He's in the garden. I don't think that's the one that I've been going after the whole time. I think that was just a bonus. I got more traps set out there right now. I'm about to get the 300 Winchester short mag out. I'm about to get some trail cams out. I'm going to go get more traps. We're cranking it up to a 10, maybe 11.
Dynamite, for sure. When you said this is something out of Caddyshack, that's all I could think of. This is like a perfect explanation for it.
Now that I think about it, I was thinking like when you showed me that gopher, I was thinking like Kickstart the Heart, but Caddyshack, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, can you cue I'm all right? Like, I want to hear that.
Stupid YouTube copyright claim. We can't.
Yeah.
Thanks, YouTube. Who decided to put this show on YouTube? If it was just a radio show, we could do it.
My bad.
Boss.
Gosh. Well, how long are you going to be out in Montana, Ben? How long is this trip for?
It's a short trip. I'm only out here for a week, so I don't know.
Only a week. Short trip.
Yeah, but I'll be out for a week and come back, and then I will be pointing the truck northwest once again to go into the Great White North in search of Hungarian partridge. So
That's
gotta
awesome.
be home and have a little FaceTime with the family. So
I'm a little jealous of that trip, but to be fair, we'll be in Saskatchewan pretty much at the same time. So
I know.
Can't really be jealous. But very cool. Ben, good luck out there. Thanks for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.
And Cory, looking forward to using the new call this year. Good luck with the new call. And more importantly, though, good luck with that gopher.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to keep fighting the good fight over here. Tuning these duck calls, chasing those gophers out in the garden. Got to protect the he's in the potato row, which is not good. I mean, one of the potato rows. But anyway, stay tuned. You guys want to follow along on that Instagram story. It is hot gopher trap in action up here in northern Minnesota.
Perfect. Cory Loeffler, DRC Calls. Thanks for being on the show, man.
Thank you.
Sporting Journal Radio is a division of Macaba LLC. If you've got a question, comment, or story idea for us, send us an email. Go to sportingjournalradio.com. While you're there, you can learn how to advertise on the show and visit our store for hats, hoodies, coffee mugs, and more. Go to sportingjournalradio.com.